Alright guys, and welcome to another video. Today we're going back to theory crafting some very weird and wonderful Burning Crusade builds. Today we're going to be looking at the infinite mana Warlock build. But when I say infinite mana, I really truly do mean an infinite mana build. I have burnt the living hell out of my abilities for 20 long minutes without running out of mana with this build equipped. It's even difficult to run out of mana spamming Seed of Corruption, so the AoE DPS potential of this build could be quite interesting. By the way guys, if you want to see more Burning Crusade Warlock content, be sure to follow me on Twitch because I'm doing a little bit of leveling on the Atlantis server right now and I'm looking for people to level with. And give me a quick subscribe so you don't miss more content like this coming soon. So let's take a little look at the build. The two key talents I want to draw your attention to are Dark Pact and Mana Feed. So let's have a look at Dark Pact. Drain 700 of your pet's mana, returning 100% of the mana to you. Because this ability actually scales with spell power, you will actually be draining about 2000 of your pet's mana points to you in a single cast. And then we have Mana Feed. When you gain mana from Drain Mana or Life Tap spells, your pet gains 100% of the mana that you gain. So it doesn't really take much more theory crafting or thinking than that to understand how this could be, or how this is, a infinite mana build. Because what you're essentially doing is you're draining your pet's mana. In 2 casts you can gain about 4,500 mana from your pet. And then in 2 Life Taps you can re-maximize your pet's mana back up to 4,500, and then you can use it again, rinse and repeat. You're constantly using Life Tap and Dark Pact to gain more and more mana, and what it effectively does is it doubles the mana generation of your Life Tap. You will only ever have to use 2 Life Taps to maximise your pet's mana, which then you can drain for 4,500 points, so 2 Life Taps is basically nothing. You're just going to get hit by kind of miscellaneous heals. A healer's not going to complain that you're using Life Tap too much because you're only going to use it twice, so you'll probably get topped up by a healer. But even if you don't get topped up by a healer, it's also why we have improved Drain Life talents to basically get the health back, and you're going to be using Siphon Life as well to tickle your health back up too. So even if you didn't get any healing from the raid, you could very easily use Drain Life, which heals for a truckload. It's about 443 healing per tick, which is massive, so it's very easy to top your health back up, you know, health stones as well, and yeah, you basically just never run out of mana with this build. It is literally impossible. When it comes to the other talents, you can really mess around with whatever you want, but the primary focus I've got with this current build is just increasing dark damage, increasing obviously my pet's mana pool, and increasing its damage slightly. Well, look, there's some key talents like improved Life Tap to get a little bit more out of your Life Tap, and also Demonic Aegis to get a little bit of extra health generation from Fell Armor. Then we have talents like improved Health Stone, Demonic Embrace, and Fell Stamina, again just to increase your health pool slightly and to increase the healing slightly to get a little bit more out of your Life Taps. So let me show you the build in action. What's great about this build is you're not restricted to a mana efficient kind of rotation where you just spam Shadow Bolt, for instance, so it's definitely going to be a more interesting build for people to mess around with, because you can cast any dot you want, any AoE ability you want, any weird cooldown, just quite literally anything you want to mess around with, because you have infinite mana, so you don't have to worry about mana. First things first, you're going to use the Succubus, because the Succubus can do the best amount of damage while not having to cast any abilities, if you know what I mean. All the other pets will drain their mana, so obviously that means you can't use Dark Pact as much. So let me show you the build in action once I've drained a lot of my mana. Let's start using my dot abilities, burning as much mana as I humanly can on any ability. Let's even throw a Death Coil in here because you can just do that because it won't matter. Even a Seed of Corruption, even though I'm not AoEing. And obviously you can see I'm burning a lot of mana right now, but if I use Dark Pact, I'm straight. If I use 2, I'm straight back up to full mana. And then let's burn some more mana, and then I'll show you just how quickly the pet gets mana with your Life Tap. Your pet will get mana quite a lot anyway, just passively. Also, if you have a 2-set Oblivion set bonus, she will gain 45 mana per every 5 seconds. So as you can see, I need mana again, but we can use your Life Tap, and look how fast the pet gets mana. Like, it is really difficult to run out of mana. Like I said, it's probably impossible. I'm going to burn like mana unrealistically by just spamming Seed of Corruption here. just to really show you how much mana this build can get. So if I let's drain my mana all the way down to 0, which isn't an issue at all. Imagine how much damage I would have done in a raiding scenario right now with that many Seed of Corruptions. So Dark Pact about a few times, and then life, and then look, it's almost like you're pressing a cheat code in GTA. You get that much mana back. And if you're ever genuinely struggling to get your health back up, I can go from 7k health to 12k health in probably just 2 life drains. So that's like half to top health in 2 life drains if you ever actually do run out of health or struggle with your health. And then, you know, again, you just go back to spamming Dark Pact, Life Pact, and as you've probably worked out by now, you truly do have infinite mana with this build. So now you're probably thinking, how will this build fit into a practical scenario? Obviously it's not going to be the typical demonic sacrifice, ruin, destruction build that does ridiculous amounts of shadow bolt damage. It won't beat that build, obviously. However, in early raid tiers, particularly when, for instance, if classic TBC launches, it's actually, some people do in fact go for an affliction build because they find it provides similar, if not more, DPS to a typical destruction build. And that's obviously because the DS ruin build relies very heavily on having, well, a high enough crit rating to make it viable. When you're just jumping into Karazhan for the first time, you're probably not going to have a massive amount of crit rating. You'll have a decent chunk, but to really fully unleash the DPS potential of the DS Ruin build, you will need a little bit of a crit, well, a minimum like Criff soft cap before you start to notice really decent high numbers. So a build like this could be an interesting and just more fun alternative to early TBC raiding, because it gives you that flexibility of having absolutely infinite mana, and mana issues are going to be, again, another big issue when you're very low geared at jumping into Karazhan for the first time, because your mana pool is going to be so small, and a lot of the time you are just simply going to run out of mana if you're doing progression raiding, you're struggling with the tactics, and the fights go longer and longer than they actually have to, particularly if, you know, people start dying and stuff like that. And what you will notice is because you have infinite mana, you will probably potentially, again, we have theory crafting, be able to do more damage simply by the fact that you were able to continue to cast more high damaging DPS abilities longer than a, you know, alternative Warlock who's just got a DS Ruin build, because he will eventually run out of mana and run out of mana consumables, which is another important thing. It will be good for saving money because you won't actually have to buy mana consumables and runes and things like that. When it comes to things like dungeon farming, obviously having the capability to just never have to stop drinking is very useful for fast reputation or badge of justice farming. And you can definitely see how this build will drastically improve your AoE DPS. AoE DPS has a heavy demand on your mana pool. A lot of the time you just basically just run out of mana in TBC. It only becomes like, you know, mana only becomes redundant in later expansions when it comes to AoE DPS. AoE DPS in TBC Classic and Wrath will drain your mana quite a lot, but if mana is never an issue, then obviously you can do insane AoE damage. And because destruction talents don't directly increase the damage of Seed of Corruption, which is your main AoE ability, then, you know, that kind of build doesn't technically boost your AoE DPS, whereas this build will massively, simply by the fact you can just use so much more of your AoE DPS. And obviously talents from the Affliction tree do actually increase the damage of Seed of Corruption. And apart from a, you know, group content scenario, when it comes to solo content, it's going to be very efficient at doing any kind of solo farming, whether you're farming reagents, doing questing, or any kind of gold farming or anything like that. It's definitely going to be one of the best in slot specs for that, because you will never ever have to stop and drink. And when it comes to those world PvP 1-to-1 fights that you're going to bump into, you're never going to have like 0 mana. But anyway guys, tell me what you think about this build in the comment section below. If you have any more crazy and interesting ideas about it, I will, you know, love heart or pin the comments. But anyway, my name is Medagoblin. To my next video, ciao.